Welcome back to Whitt Acres. We made a lot of progress here on the pond recently, so I wanted to make a video and catch you all up to see where we are. We did get the intake bay in behind me, and we got a lot of stoning in on the main basin. So let's get right in and look at it. Alright, I'm not sure where we left off, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're building this intake bay. I have two barrels, two water drums. I don't know if they actually had water in them. I got them from a dairy farmer. But two of these drums, same as the one I used for the wetland filter at the other side of the pond. I'm using two because I'm going to have two pumps in here. One pump for the waterfall and one pump for the wetland filter and jets. This area here is about 4 feet deep by 6 feet long, and then it's about almost 5 feet wide. I have a 14 by 14 liner sunk in there, and that liner is going to get overlapped by my main basin blue liner right over top of this log. So instead of digging or building a retainment wall out of soil underneath the liners to get an overlap effect, I'm just going to set in these logs. You can see I have a couple more over here that are framing in the beach area and at the same time framing in the intake bay. So the liner is going to wrap up around these just like it's a soil retainment wall, but it's going to be out of wood. So once they go underneath the fabric and the liner, they're never going to rot. They won't have access to the water or oxygen very much, so they're going to actually stay just like they are for a really long time. The one I actually have up here on the side will rot a lot faster because it won't actually be underwater. But these ones will be not only underwater but underneath the rubber and the fabric, so they won't even be exposed to oxygen, which will help keep them intact for a lot longer. Now in the bottom of the intake bay we have fabric, then liner, then fabric, and then I have 3 milk crates right in front of the barrels. I think I already showed how I made these barrels. After that I filled up with river gravel or river stone. You can see it's about 6-inch to 8-inch, sometimes 4-inch stone all the way up to almost about a foot below the top of the barrels. From that point on, I'm going to be adding the river gravel, which is about 2B size, and that's going to fill up to the barrels and probably a little higher. I may do a pea gravel top, but we'll see once I get there. For now, it's just going to be the 2B river gravel so we can get this area ready. So the next step of the pond, before I can finish the intake bay, is to pull the liner back off of this end wall here, all the way to where I'm going to be putting the steps, get these stones out, and we're going to fold this liner back so we can get in here and dig this little peninsula of soil out. It was originally there so I could cantilever my destination stone, but it's messing up the liner to the point where I have a ton of folds to get into and around this corner. So what we're going to do is fold that back, use the backhoe to scratch it as gently as we can to try and get as much of that peninsula out of there. And then I'll build the retainment wall with stone that's going to hold my cantilever stone, and hopefully that will, for one, add a little bit more space and water in the pond, but it will also get the liner to lay a lot more smooth without the ripples and the folds. I have a little fountain pump running in here just to add some oxygen to the pond for the lilies, try and keep those alive, but also just so it doesn't get real stagnant and start smelling. We're going to have to pump out most of this water here once I fold this liner back. Hopefully we'll be doing that tomorrow. But to get even to that point, I need to do work on the sump pit. So today I am securing this septic riser that I cut the bottom out of. So it's a hole right down through. And I have a barrel here for my sump pit that is all the way down about 6 feet below water level, because I have a French drain running all the way through the pond underneath the liner, and it enters the bottom of this barrel. It's hard to see, you can't really see it. But I also have, coming from this trench here and the downspout from the house, it feeds all the rain that comes off of this half of the house right into my sump pit. Right there from the white pipe, and the black pipe down there is the French drain coming in. So once this fills up, I'll have not this one, but I'll have a sump pump in there with a float switch, and whenever it fills up in there, that'll get pumped straight into my intake bay. The intake bay will then take it up through the pond and it'll fill up in the pond, and then I'll have an overflow attached to the pond here that will then take it out to the field. But that way I will be able to recycle any water that leaks out of the pond, because it'll leak down into the French drain, and then I can pump it back in. And I'll also be able to replenish water from any of the rains. From any evaporation, I can get some natural rainwater to fill it up instead of using city water. So hopefully it'll be a little bit self-sustaining, that I don't have to keep filling this up, but that's the way it's supposed to work. But my barrel's not tall enough, so I had to get this Sump pit. I don't even know what it is, but I got it from Lowe's, and it's a sump, and it has a lid that screws onto the top for easy access and covering. I cut the bottom out like I said, and then I fit it down into, just fit it straight into that barrel lid. Now the barrel lid is cut right there, so it gives a little bit of flexibility to get that one in. It was a really tight fit, but I was able to force it in there, and it went deep enough to be past that little lip edge of the barrel there. So I was able to screw in with some sheet metal screws from both sides, inside and out, so it was holding from either end, and secure that all the way around. And then I used these little straight brackets and secured it again from the barrel to the riser. So that should hold in place. It's even fairly level. So now I can backfill this with gravel, and we'll be able to get the backhoe in. It's hard to see, but right here it drops off down into the hole. So we need to fill this up with gravel so we're wide enough to be able to drive the backhoe in through here without running over my flower bed. And that way we'll be able to get the backhoe in and dig out that wall. There's a lot of overlapping things that need to get done so we can get the next thing done and then the next thing. So hopefully we're going to be able to put in a long day tomorrow and get a lot of progress done, fill up or rock in this whole side, get that liner back, and then put back in place and rock in that whole bit large basin. And then I'll be able to start collecting rainwater in the pond and rinsing off my stone with it until I can actually fill up the pond when I finish the intake bay. I'd like to do a video where I just start to finish the intake bay, but that's just not how I'm building the pond at all. We're just taking it piece by piece, trying to get what we can done in the order that it seems to be required. This beach is going to be probably the last thing, because I'll be able to run the liner up to that log. The water will actually be lapping right here, because this sand will be higher than water, and then that's right where the transition of sand to water will be. So that's where the water will go, and then it will go inside in the intake bay and stay on the barrel side of that log. This will all be a dry sand pit. So once I can get that liner up with these logs and overlapped and glued, I'll probably use a roofing glue to seal the two rubber pieces together, just to give it some help. It'll be at least a 6-inch drop over that log, but just to give it some extra help from leaking, I'll be putting some glue in between the liners, try to seal it up a little bit. And once I get that done, I'll have the whole containment of the water, the main water basin, that I'll be able to fill up and throw a pump in one of those barrels and start getting some water circulating here. And that'll be a big step forward. Once I can get some water filled up and circulating, I can start finishing some edging. You can see I'm already getting all the plants in around the outside. That's a really high edge, so I'm not too worried about that actually being any water overflowing that side. But all around the waterfall and this edge is kind of iffy, so I don't want to finish this edge yet until I know that the water is going to be lower than the liner. And the wetland filter, got to wait till that's finished too. We brought some more stone down from my brothers so that I have some more options. It's mostly sandstone. The whole pond's mainly sandstone, but there is a couple limestone pieces in there. I didn't get any more big stuff, but there is some big stuff up there that I will be able to grab. But this is clearly, you can see, this is all we could carry in the bucket. We even filled up Poppy. We even filled up the back bucket to make use of the trip the best that we can. Hit that like button down below before you leave. Subscribe if you're not already, so you can see the finished product and the rest of the progress on this pond as we keep going through the summer on this, because I was really hoping to be done in the spring, but it's dragging on. We're gonna keep going until it's finished though, and it's gonna look really nice when we're done. You can see me and Echo on the next one.